Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I am your host, Derek Stewart, and it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday sports pack weekend. We're joining again. We're doing this thing live. We're doing a live stream. We got a little bit of late start because of some internet issues on my end. I just wanted to discuss that because we started a little bit earlier and then we ran into some internet issues. But we are back and we're glad to be back. We're happy with what we're doing. We hope you like what we're bringing to you, and we're bringing it to you 100%. And I got my two kin folks here with me, Isaah and Najee. And we're going to do some big things tonight. We're going to talk about some NFL. We're talking about some NBA. We're going to talk about some WNBA. A lot of news about NFL camps we'll be covering, and then college football is getting ready to kick off as well. Those camps are going to be starting if they haven't already started for the summer already. And high school. We're not going to forget about high school because we're going to be covering some high school sports, especially in the football area. Once, the season gets kicked in September, we'll be right on top of it as always. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you give us a thumbs up, because when you give us a thumbs up, it gives us the extra know-how to go about giving you a good topic-driven show. So let me go ahead and introduce and bring in my first kinfolk, Isaah. How the hell are you, Isaah?
Couldn't be better, man. I'm not going to complain at all, man. I feel severely blessed, man. I feel healthy. I feel great, and I'm just eager to get the ball rolling with the show because we got so much stuff to offer. I'm thinking clearly about high school this week. I'm going out there and see some of the teams and see how their teams look before the season kick off. I know some of these kids jump ship just like a lot of college players going, because I know some of these coaches are jumping from school to school, and some of the kids are coming along with them. So I'm gonna just see. It should be an exciting season for these little young kids in high school ranks. Yeah.
Absolutely. How's your workout program and your weight loss coming along?
I'm at a stalemate. I got to 18 pounds and stopped. I stopped at 18 pounds. But I'm gonna tell you one thing that I did. I stopped hitting them stairs, and those stairs was the one was doing it. So sometime this week, I'm gonna get back at the stairs. I was hitting stairs at night, going up and down, and that's when I started seeing the movement. But I think that's what I need to do is get back at the stairs, up and down, and then the squats, what goes along with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I was thinking about wind sprints myself. I think we discussed that earlier today when we spoke, that I'm going to
I'll
start
definitely
running
do it.
wind sprints.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I
Just
run
make sure
5 to
you
10
stretch before you
wind
do it.
sprints a day, I think I can keep my body honest, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. Just make sure you stretch before you do it, because remember, you're not 20 anymore. So if you start sprinting out there, you may pull something. And once you
Oh,
pull something, I don't need you laid up for 2 months or either out for the season. So make sure you stretch real well before you start.
You definitely gonna be
And
out of commission.
that's
your
for
health
sure.
insurance is outrageous. So you don't need to be going to no doctor.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. For sure. So Najee, tell us a little bit about your weekend.
Oh, I went to Tampa Friday. Went to go see Keith Sweat. It was his birthday concert. We had Joe, SWV. You had Drew Hill and Genuine. Saturday we had
Could have
well,
been
Saturday and
better.
earlier today. With that, we
Yep.
went to Orlando's co-worker's birthday, and then we went to Amcon Disney, and we went to drink around the world. We got pretty intoxicated, and it was hot. It was hot. It was 97 degrees. They said it was feeling like 99. Hot. I'm
Hot
talking
to
about
try.
we had we had hats, fans, and all that stuff. It was just minimizing the pain. That's basically what it was doing. But got back home extremely exhausted. Been trying to hydrate ever since.
Hmm. It's hurricane season in Florida, correct? Or the
It
South
is.
Yes.
as a collective,
It
It's
right?
is
yep.
hurricane season. You know,
Yeah.
from June to November is hurricane season here.
November.
It's
Yeah,
hot.
exactly.
It's raining or it's really hot. That's what's going on right now.
But
Yeah, it's
hurricane
sticky and
season is
hot. It
from June to
seems like all
November, but
over.
we normally see them between August and November.
Yeah, it seemed like it's hot all over, man, all over the world, not just this country, but it seems like it's the global temperature of heat is just going up like crazy. It really is, you know, and I don't know if it's going to ever stop.
DC, I was watching track today, and everybody where I don't know where they were running at, but they said it was cold where they were running. You know, watched a little track and field today. They said it was
Yeah,
cold
where
there
was
in
it?
that
Where
place.
where were they running?
I don't know. I didn't see it, the part where they were running at, but I just seen the event itself, and everybody was talking about how cold it was there. And
Right.
even the sprinters were saying that they had to make sure that they stretch and get warm before they ran because it was so cold. I
Wow,
don't know where they were running at,
that is
but it
very
was.
interesting.
Yep.
They wasn't on this. They wasn't on this planet
And
Earth.
moving
Then
on this, I'm telling you, and then you should see how many fires are started in these areas where it's so
Oh
hot,
yeah, it's
it's
hot and
striking
dry,
fire.
as
and then
in,
you have dry
Yep.
brush, and you have
Yep.
dead
yeah,
trees, and you have dead leaves, and it's just the cocktail. It's really not good for fires. I mean, to have all of that brush around, you know. They try their
yeah.
best to
As a matter of
clear
fact,
it out
we
here
just
in
had a bush
California.
fire about 20 minutes from there.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it looks like I met some people a couple of days ago, and they were saying Dallas and places in Texas is super hot, just like California, just like the rest of the country, the East Coast, New York. I mean, you name it, all over the country and all over the world. We could definitely see the temperature difference as opposed to 20 years ago, right? So,
Yeah, but people just don't believe in it. They don't believe in the global warming, and it's here, showing us all the time. You know, with the floods and the fires and the earthquakes and the whole nine. It's here. Yep.
well, stuff like that keeps happening, and it seems like very little is getting addressed about it. Let's just say that. I'll leave it at that, if I can leave it at that. You know, hopefully, there is something can be done that they can take a look at things from a scientific standpoint and just
Listen to science. Yeah.
yeah.
That's the reason why it's happening because they don't want to honor science. So
Okay,
yeah,
well,
this is the way they look.
that's a whole nother discussion in itself.
Yeah, well, it is, but that's what's going down. They listen to science; it proves it. People just don't
Absolutely.
want to honor what science, with the things that they're finding with science. There's there's a hoax, but it's not a hoax when a fire start or hurricanes come through where it wasn't normally running 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour, and tear up everything. In these tornadoes as well,
Mm-hmm.
as well as these floods, massive floods.
Yep. That's something that they'll have to, as a world collective, the whole world is going to have to pay attention to it. So, let me tell you a little bit about my weekend. Is I had a really good weekend starting from Friday on into today, and I had a really good day yesterday, and I had a really good day today. I noticed that I've gained weight, and it seems as though when I get on a treadmill or an elliptical machine now, it takes me longer to burn calories. And I've noticed that just yesterday. So I got back on today just as a follow up, and it looks like it's the same. So it used to
Yeah,
take me
because
about 11 minutes to burn 100 calories. Now it's taking
yeah,
over 21 minutes to burn 100 calories.
yeah, because you're eating while you're on there. You can't eat while you're on there, dog.
Eating while I'm on
You're
what?
on the treadmill. You was eating a sandwich while you on the treadmill. You can't do that, man.
You
You're
watch your
eating while
mouth.
you're on the treadmill.
There you go.
Eating while you're on the treadmill and think you're gonna lose weight. You can't do that, man.
Eating
You gotta
anything that's not
put on your
nailed
hunger.
down, right?
That's why you won't lose the weight.
No, I can lose the weight because I haven't been eating. And normally I eat once a day. So normally I eat at the wrong time. I come home at night and I eat, and then I relax, and then I don't move
Why?
as much. So I can
That's the
fix that.
reason why.
I can remedy that, right?
Just eat it around noon.
eat around
You eat
noon,
around
and then eat
between
a
noon and
salad
6
after
o'clock.
6 p.m. and,
Well,
maybe have a
say,
protein shake and,
yeah, that'll,
that'll
hmm
fill me up.
you do that, it'll make you lose the weight too. You'll lose what
Absolutely.
your goal. You get to your goal faster that way. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The biggest thing is in weight loss is it's not how much you work out. It's really your diet and how much you intake of different types of foods like starches and calorie and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates can put weight on you. Normally protein driven foods don't put as much weight on you as carbs. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to lose weight the natural way, let's just say that,
Yeah.
right?
You gotta move a little bit too now. You can't leave that out. You gotta be exercising. You gotta do some of that stuff.
I agree
You
with
can't
that
just
too.
be,
I
yeah.
I totally agree. You know.
But like you said before, you want to get out there, start sprinting, do it. That'll help faster, But you gotta stretch. You gotta stretch well before you do it. Get them quads stretched, the hamstrings, the calf muscles, all of that stuff. Because you get out there and start sprinting right off the bat, you're pulling something.
Oh, for
Especially if you
sure,
hadn't done it in a long time.
for sure. So we got a jam-packed, fun-filled show again, and we're going to just lay it all out to you. We're going to have some discussions regarding one particular show that we just had a few days ago. I want to go over a comment that was made today about one of our, video clips from the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about NFL Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, used to play at Clemson University, all world, all American when he was at Clemson, won a national championship at Clemson, ended up getting drafted in the first round by the Miami Dolphins. And he just lit up the skies when he was in Miami. And unfortunately, due to differences in salary demands and salary requests, he ended up going to the Raiders. So we're going to talk a little bit about his case as well. And we're going to go over some NFL other news from training camps and those type of things, because we want to kind of chime in on some of the training camp activity that's going on. And beyond that, I want to introduce our new topic host by the name of Annie Brown. Annie Brown is joining us. She's going to be giving us the topics. She'll be giving us all types of different topics from NFL to WNBA to NBA and the whole 9 yards. So we welcome Annie Brown here. Whatever
Welcome aboard,
topic.
Eddie Brown.
Yeah. I mean, we got to welcome Annie Brown on board, Yes, sir. Absolutely. So anyway,
Been
let's
on a
get
long time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Annie's first topic is going to be talking about Christian Wilkins. And this story is kind of a story where you chase your dreams and you chase your lifetime dreams in terms of wanting to be something that you grew up thinking about throughout your life. Christian Wilkins more likely played football just like me and Isaah and Najee did when we were in Little League football. I don't know his complete background all the way back to that point, but I will say that he was one of the most dominant defensive tackles in the NFL when he finally arrived at the NFL from Clemson University. And Christian Wilkins, he chased the bag. And I don't blame him 110% bit, because at the end of the day, it's about you taking care of your personal interests in terms of what's good for you, what's good for your family, and the whole 9 yards. And so with that said, Christian Wilkins chased that bag all the way to Oakland, or should I say, I'll take that back. It's actually the Las Vegas Raiders now. Sometimes I tend to call them Oakland. That's where they started out at. So it looks like he signed a contract that was worth over $100 million. And it looks as though like he had already earned $49.7 million of the contract. But it looks like he was released, and the allegations are that Christian Wilkins was not rehabbing the way the team expected him to rehab. Now, I'm pretty sure Christian Wilkins will tell you a whole different story. He'll probably tell you, look, I did everything I was asked to do. Did everything rehab wise they demanded that I do. And I don't understand why we have arrived at this situation where they released Christian Wilkins and then they turned around and they're trying to void out $35.2 million of his money. Now, the NFL has a union. The NFL Players Association is a union, but I come to find out that Christian Wilkins was a rep. He was a rep for the Raiders, a union rep. Now, that might not have anything to do with this at all, but since he's a union rep and then he had a foot injury and he was trying to rehab that foot, but there was stories that he wasn't rehabbing it properly and putting in the time to rehab it. And then there was some video that showed him dancing inside of a workout room. And, it just opened up a whole Pandora's box of different assertions of what Christian Wilkins was doing and what the Raiders perceived he was doing in the whole 9 yards. But one thing I will say, Pete Carroll is a damn good coach. He's a damn good general manager. I trust Pete Carroll. And if Pete Carroll releases Christian Wilkins, to me, it has to be something a little bit deeper than what the media is putting out right now about him. Because Pete Carroll usually don't release players. I've never known him to do it. He's been with Seattle, and I don't think he released one player other than Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson asked out. Russell Wilson asked to be released. So I'm going to start out with Isaah, and I'm going to ask Isaah, do you think Christian Wilkins measured up to the standards of rehab from your perspective? Because if he did, they wouldn't be trying to void out $35 million, right?
Yeah, you really don't know. You really can't tell stuff like this. I know there's a workout regimen, and when you have trainers, they want you to be there at a specific time. Because if you got a foot injury like that, and it goes down to around your ankles and all that stuff, it has to be done properly. And properly means you got to get there at 9 o'clock if it's scheduled for 9 o'clock. You go in the whirlpool or the ice machine where they ice it real good, and they try to get flexibility into it, where they put heat and all that stuff on there, and then they'll take you to an area where you start to put weight on it and things of that sort. And it has to be done on a scale. I mean, from one thing to the next, the next, the next. That's the proper way to do a rehab. Mm-hmm. Now, if he started to skip some of that stuff, that's where they probably got the problem. Because if you don't do exactly what these trainers want, because they supposedly knows best, because these people they're not getting paid peanuts either. Those trainers are professional trainers. They're not just somebody come off the street saying, okay, I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna stretch you. No way, man. These are people that's hired by the team, that's professional. They have degrees in this field of rehabilitation. And if he don't do what they ask him to do, that's grounds for termination. Because they feel like, he's not going to do anything back and go out there and re-injure this thing. Because we're embarking on a season getting ready to start again. And if they feel like that ankle or his foot's not strong enough and he's got potential chance of re-injuring this thing and he's going to be out for several games, that's exactly why they got rid of him. That's exactly why. Because that way this guy will be sitting on the bench collecting a check without performing on that football field. So that's the reason why they probably got rid of him.
So It looks as though here Wilkins suffered a Jones fracture in his left foot during week 5 of the 2024 season. He underwent surgery, but rehab has been described as very minimal in terms of his ability to be able to recover as fast as, I guess, the trainers or the schedule that they have him on. And these are all allegations because we haven't heard both sides of the story. One thing I will say, I have to agree with you, Isaah, that, if you're asked to do something like that, you need to do it. I mean, you need to, whatever they have scheduled or whatever they have prepared for you
You have to
in
be there.
terms of a
Yeah.
rehab process. You need to rehab it
Mhm.
step by step by
That's the way they
step.
want.
Because
That's
one
the way
thing
they
I
want.
will say that for the amount of money that he's earning in the particular career that he's in, that can go for any type of industry. That can go for any job. So Najee, tell me this. What do you think about the Raiders' perspective of this by releasing him and letting him go due to the fact that there was so-called issues of, of not rehabbing properly?
Well, he probably was. Hey, he could be stubborn and then do things exactly how he want to do versus anything. But I mean, what's the first thing you do when you want to cut out cancer, or you want to cut out, if somebody that's got cancer in the locker room, or somebody that just won't listen to you? You got to get rid of him. Obviously, he don't have the value to the team that he thought he had. That's just point blank and simple.
Well,
No,
That's any job.
true. And, you know, the biggest thing is if you were working for a job, um, and you are asked to do something and you might not even
Hmm.
agree or you might not even want to do it, I think it would be in your best interest to do it, because if you're making the amount of money, and I'm going to just add in the amount of money that he's earning versus someone who's going to work for a minimum wage job. However, if they ask you to do something on a minimum wage job, you still need to do it if you want to keep the job. But give or
Hmm.
take, with his salary and the amount of money that he was earning, I would never put that at risk by taking the chance and not following through with certain things that I'm asked to do from an organization. Like any professional sports franchise or any type of industry, I think it's in the best interest of the person to listen and make sure that, they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. Now, who knows? The
yeah,
Raiders could have had someone trailing him. They could have had, I mean, it's just kind of like
not,
my assertion of it.
well, DC, I would love to hear his side of it
I would too.
because
And we will.
if he, yeah, if he's doing everything they ask him to do, and then the Raiders got an issue. They got a severe problem if he's doing everything they ask him to do, because
Yeah.
nobody can feel what you feel as a human being. A doctor could go in there and diagnose something. You could say, I got a severe headache, and he can't go in there and say, no, you don't. Because he don't know. He don't know what you're feeling.
Hmm.
But if he's not coming in there to rehab, if they got him on a schedule for 4 hours to do certain things within that parameter of that 4 hours, and he's leaving in 2 hours, well, they got something. They got a case against him, because who in the world going to invest $100 million on a stubborn player who don't even want to rehab? The player that's really has bought into an organization, going to do everything imaginable to get better so he can get back on that football field. Now, if he's neglecting his way of getting back in, getting healthy again, that's a problem, man. Because here's the season getting ready to start within a month, less than a
Hmm.
month, and this guy is not doing his rehabilitation properly. So that means he's going to be sitting on the sideline watching the team play while he's still trying to recoup an injury that happened last year. So I can clearly see why they want to get rid of him, and it free up what, almost $40,000,
Uh,
40,000 is a free up.
well, 40 million. I mean, because
Yeah,
you're
well,
talking
one
about
million. That's what I mean.
$35.2
Yeah,
million
40
dollars that they're
million.
voiding out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, sir. I mean, and that's why they cut him, because they're gonna free up that money so they can perhaps get two players for him. And you get talking about $40 million, you can get two players for him. I think one thing to DC, the grass was greener on the other side. He left Miami chasing the money, and then he get over there I don't think he like it. So we'll see who go after him and see who's going
Hmm.
to pay him that money that he's lacking now. See who's going to grab that contract. I haven't seen too many people going overboard to try to grab and bring him in camp, because one thing about it, when they see any team, any organization see a player who's not trying to get better at something, whether it's getting better at a skill or rehab an injury. They don't want you around because you actually going to be taking up a roster spot and you're not going to be producing. So they don't want you on the club, man.
Well,
That's the way it
Christian
is.
Wilkins was no average player to be. He was above average. Actually, he was outstanding because if you look at a man that size and his agility and his ability to be able to shed off blocks the way I used to watch him shed off blocks,
if he's not playing.
but
that don't mean anything.
But that don't mean anything if he's not playing. Now, reverting back, he signed a $110 million contract with $82.75 million guaranteed, according to this information that I have right here.
Done half of that already.
And he was 1 year into that. So, for that to end like that and him having all that guaranteed money and, 35 million of it they're trying to avoid that out. To me, it's very problematic, and it's more problematic for him than any other person, because if you think about it, he has to think about what led to this type of situation where they're trying to avoid the money out. They must know something that we don't know because we're only reporting for what we see or what we read on media outlets, right?
That's why I want to see his part of it. I want to see his side of the story of it, because if he's doing everything they asked him to do, then the Raiders are going to have to pay him his money.
Oh, of course. They're going to have to pay him some of that money anyway, because I think what he's done, or if he's not already filed a grievance with the union is going to extract some of that money. I mean, he might not be able to collect all of it if, in fact, they're trying to void 35 of it. I don't know if, what the numbers look like when they having these arbitration hearings for players and teams and things of that sort, but he's going to get something. I don't think they're going to be able to just void all of that out and him walk away with nothing. I don't see it that way. What do you think about that, Najee?
Well, of course, he's going to get something, because it's going to show that he had some type of effort somewhere. So just because you didn't get the exact thing what you like, you mean to me going to just cut my money off? No, he's going to get a portion of it. He's not going to get probably nowhere near what he signed up for, but nah, he's going to get something, bro.
I would think so. I would think so, because of the simple fact that, you sign a contract in good faith from both parties, and it has to be something really serious to want one party to try to breach a certain part of the contract, whether it's legal or whether it's not legal, right? Anytime you have a contract, you have to read that language line by line.
Yeah. Yeah, DC, I'm going to tell you one thing, too. I just hope that he's not playing a game, man, because some of these players get to the point where they don't like their position, in an organization. They'll play games with them, man. They'll claim they're hurt just because they want to get traded. So that I hope that ain't what it is with this issue right here. I just hope the fact that he's hurt for real and he's doing whatever he can, and then the Raiders just want to move on for him, because it would not look good if this guy is putting on the game so he get out of there and get traded somewhere else, because most of these players has found this way of getting traded or going to another team and perhaps say they are injured when they're not, just to get moved to another team. And this been happening, quite often, not just with football, basketball, and the whole 9 yards.
Of course, it crosses all boundaries of sports, right?
Yep.
It's just not one relegated to one sport.
Right.
I don't think it is.
Right. It's not.
Well, he's too valuable of a player for Pete Carroll to want to get rid of him. It must be something to it, because Pete Carroll normally don't get rid of players of that type of caliber. With what I saw him in Seattle with, all of that talent level that he was in Seattle with, it's just amazing that he was able to parlay Seattle, into that type of team. When he went to the Super Bowl, they won a Super Bowl and they ended up losing a Super Bowl. One of the strong points of Pete Carroll's teams were defense, and especially defensive line. The defensive line was the nucleus of Pete Carroll's defenses. If you look at Brandon Mebane, those type of guys who played on that defense, and it's just he had some dogs on that defense, man. Them guys were rough riders. That's what they call them, the rough riders. Richard Sherman and them guys playing defensive back.
Yeah.
and Cam Chancellor, the assassin. You couldn't ask for a better defense. So for him to want to let Christian Wilkins go, it's something really deep to it that
Yeah.
people need to be looking into, you know?
Well, we just got to keep our eyes on it because I surely want to hear his side of it, not just the Raiders side of it.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear it too, and we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that. Now, let's talk a little bit about his options, or should I say, other teams' options to sign Christian Wilkins, because technically, he's been let go. So if you look at his status, he's free to go anywhere he wants, technically, according to the way the contracts are laid out, in my opinion.
Okay, well,
Wouldn't you say that?
But who seemed to be interested in him? Because
I would think
an
an array of teams would be interested in him. And let me just give you the first team that I think should show a lot of interest in him is the Miami Dolphins, the team that he left. I think the Miami Dolphins, Chris Greer needs to step up and go back and see if he can sign Christian Wilkins, I think. Now, what do you think about that, Isaiah?
It depends how he left. DC, you got to remember that stuff, man. He left here because he was chasing the bag. He got his money over there, and he might have got over there and didn't like it. He loved it here. I mean, I was really disappointed when he couldn't meet, a financial, deal with the Dolphins because he had embedded himself in the community. He was doing a lot of outreach stuff for kids and different programs in South Florida, and then all of a sudden he was heading out of here. And it happens 2 or 3 fold when you got a player who make his home here and he started doing things in the community, and it's that missing void where these kids don't have that all the time. Especially when he was like the face. He was the face of the defense. He was the face of the Dolphins. He was the face of a lot of projects here in South Florida, man. Every time you turn on your TV, you had seen him doing some stuff, whether it was for a bank or a credit union or something for kids in the neighborhood. It was a lot of things that he indulged himself into, and then to see him leave to go over to clear on the other side of the country, man, to play. And I just think the only way he leave is those numbers was nowhere in sight that he wanted. So now we got to find out what was that difference between him and the Dolphins. That way you won't even think whether the Dolphins shooting at him again. They're not going to do it because I hadn't heard his name surface down here in South Florida for bringing him back. Now look at Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick didn't like Flores. He goes over to Pittsburgh, and the first opportunity he got to come back here, guess where he is? He's right here, and they love him. So that's the difference, DC. You got a player that left, nobody ain't even thinking because we're not talking about him here, and then Fitzpatrick is right back here. So let's see how this thing iron itself out.
Well, on behalf of Minkah Fitzpatrick, he was traded by the Steelers in a so-called an even swap trade for Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. So I don't know if Minkah Fitzpatrick would have been interested in coming back to Miami. I'm not 100% sure of that. Are you sure of that?
Well, I'm positive about it. We had a coverage on it today. He didn't like Flores. He was glad to get out of here. Flores is not here no more. Guess where he is? He's back. So, man, they just covered this today.
Okay.
So that's where this thing comes from. He's glad to be back here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he's back. I mean, because he's a hell of a safety. He's a center fielder. Yep. You can put him in the box to play the run. He's big enough and he's a great tackler. He covers great. So I'm happy that Minkah Fitzpatrick is back, with the Dolphins. And it looks like neither team gained much. I mean, because Jalen Ramsey's a shutdown corner, but I mean, both teams, did they really benefit from swapping these players out like that? That's the question you have to ask.
It might be an even fold. It might be an even fold. So yeah, you'll see how that happens once the season starts. That's when you can really tell, well, we made the right choice. It's just preliminary stuff we're talking about right now. But when that season starts, We'll see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in 6 seasons, it looks like he had 372 career tackles and 22, or let's just say 23 sacks over Christian Wilkins' career. Back to Christian Wilkins. And
Yeah.
I would think other teams are looking at him, the Rams, the Bears, the Browns. I would think that he's an unrestricted free agent, so he's probably free to go to the highest bidder, right? I would say.
How long is go? Give me that timeline when they cut him, DC. When did they cut him?
The timeline for when they cut him?
Yeah, because we're talking about that, and I don't see any team just jumping out the airplane to get him. I mean, it's just not happening. When you see a guy get cut when he's hurt, there's something more to it, man. That's why I want to hear his side of the story. You know how many teams need a player like him? The way he plays, the relentless type of defensive player he is, and you don't see that many teams is out to get him. A guy who's got every intangible as a defensive player. I mean, he's fast, he's agile, he can do everything. But guess what? I'm trying to show you that it's not that many teams that's going after him, and that could be a problem. Because once a good player get released, everybody trying to get him if they think he could fit into their scheme of things. But I haven't seen anybody just saying that they want him. They mentioned something about the Cowboys, but I hadn't heard Jerry say anything about it. You got Cowboy fans saying that they want him, but Jerry hadn't said anything about it. And that's where the buck stops. Well, Jerry mentioned the fact that he won him, then that means they're really looking at him, but they're not looking at him.
Mm-hmm. Looks like they released him on the 24th, which is just a couple of days ago.
Okay.
If you think about that.
The 27th.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him some time then.
So you give him a little bit of time on that, because...
Give him a week.
Yes.
I'm going to give him a week.
Najee, do you think Christian Wilkins would be a good fit for Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Because Craig Hayward, man. I mean, Cameron Hayward, who's Craig Hayward, Ironhead Hayward's son, he's a good defensive tackle. He's been with the Steelers forever. If you bring in Christian Wilkins, man, that Steelers defense will improve immensely, even though they're super good right now, as far as I'm concerned, right?
Yeah. So these are teams that you think he should go to. That's the difference.
Right.
You talk about teams that you think he should go to.
Correct.
Let's see how many teams that
from the economic standpoint of view, that these NFL teams are looking at the economic standpoint of view and his situation, like you said, Isaiah. That's true.
But it also helps them. It helps the franchises when it comes to if they do want to sign them, because now guess what? By you getting released by a team, they're already showing your value. It's not what the player thinks it is. So yeah, you saying you trying to get 25, right?
Yeah.
Nah, you just got cut by your team, so we're gonna offer you 18. You don't want the 18, and you know what? You can try another team then. See if you get something else. Next thing you know, you get low ball. It's a 16. Oh, nah, I gotta settle for the 18 then.
Well, that's a Latrell Sprewell story for me. You remember Latrell Sprewell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I remember that hothead.
And how Latrell Sprewell took offense to when they made him an offer, and he said, "Look, man, I got to feed my family."
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he's thinking back to those times when he said that, because that was that was a competitive contract, I think, that they offered him, but I guess he felt like his value was much more than that at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll cover this and we'll keep everybody up to speed on this. Annie Brown has another topic, and Annie Brown wants to know, Angel Reese is fined again. But is the WNBA NBA underestimating the power of personality? I'll start with you, Najee.
Well, no, not really, because not only when it comes to the NBA already fines you for everything. But now when you're talking about females is already supposed to be on a different pedestal when it comes to handling yourself and showing off in the public. They don't want women to be aggressive and negative and cussing and showing out. No, they want them to be professional and ladylike. They don't want you to see you acting no fool, man. Now they know they're not going to get nowhere near the amount of fines that the NBA get, because the NBA will give you 20 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, 70 grand, 80 grand for just the most smallest little gesture. Now the WNBA, some of the fines be just like parking tickets type. We're gonna find you $131 $131. What they ain't gonna do?
They
That's
ain't making.
nothing. Because like I said, Clayton Clark is
They don't make that kind of
salary for the
money.
season is like 75 grand. There's
Mm-hmm.
nowhere near 75 grand for the season. I ain't saying for a week, nothing. I'm talking about for the season. That's almost an average freaking salary for an average Joe on the street, man.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but they working their way out of it. I mean, they getting better at it. But I mean, I know they're not going to ever make the type of NBA money because they don't put that many rear ends in the seats. So you can't pay them that kind of money. But they're better. They're getting better at it. They used to make less than that. They was making about $50,000. So they keep working their way out of it because it's more folks are watching it on TV and they go into the game. So it's going to get better for these women.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
And
gonna get better. But it's not gonna be nowhere near what I said. Like if you talk about Steph Curry, you talking about Durant, you talking about LeBron,
Come on,
they
man.
getting $100,000 per quarter.
They're not going to pay these
Per
women like that.
quarter.
I'm not being crazy about it, man.
I
They
know.
they're going to make a little bit more money, but they're not going to get no NBA money. And they don't have that much
Nowhere near.
viewers. They don't have that many viewers to even be able to pay these women this kind of money. They don't have the TV rights or none of that stuff, man. We got to be realistic about this.
mm-hmm.
You know, they don't have that many superstars. They don't have that many teams. There's nowhere in the world they could pay them this kind of money, man. We got to be realistic about it.
So let me validate these dates when we're talking about Angel Reese being fined. It looks like on June 4th. So this is news that's past news that she was fined for technical fouls and an ejection fine. And it looks like on June 1st, she was fined for media availability fine. So I just wanted to clarify those dates to make sure that this
So
is
that
not
means,
a
that means
current
she skipped
fine.
out on the interview. Mm-hmm.
Apparently, she just boasted off on the interview where she didn't speak to the media. So
Correct.
that's one fine. So
Yeah.
the other fine, you said she was using profanity, Najee, and got fined for that, or what?
Well, it says
No, I don't
technical
know.
foul
That's
and
what you
ejection
saying.
fine here. She was
So
fined
technical
200. It was reduced to
Ejection
200.
fine.
It was an original
So
$400
that
fine.
Yeah, but
that means
why?
she wanted to shut up,
Why?
man. That's what it
Because
sounds
she
like.
got what she got ejected.
Well, ejection via technical fouls, and I guess they might have a league policy that they do
Because
that.
when you get when you get two technicals, no matter what it is, you will get ejected. When you get two technicals, you get ejected automatically. It could
Yeah,
be
but
anything.
that
You
don't
can be
mean she
talking.
did
You
anything, man.
can
She
the
could have
first one
just
could be because
fouled somebody hard. Right.
I don't think it's any.
yeah,
They
exactly.
look at it from a malicious standpoint of view. If you just get a tech or whatever, you're gonna get fined more likely if you get a tech and get kicked out.
Yeah, because technically you can get two tests, but just won't leave the referee alone, or you just keep talking when they telling you that's enough, and you just keep on talking. And I can believe that part because I've seen some of her games, and she do come off kind of aggressive with the refs and stuff. But other than that, I mean, I don't think it's really a big deal. I actually like the competitive side, but you also got to be able to know when to stop. That's one thing. You got to learn how to know when and when to stop. She
That's
just
right.
continued to keep going on it because of her name. That's which she needed to stop trying to feel herself like that and kind of humble herself more into the game and just focus because the Chicago side is not a good team. They really not.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
Yeah,
the frustration level sets in too. When it
it
comes to
is.
that.
Yeah,
When you come
but
from a good
she's only
program like
she's
she did
only
at
this is only her
LSU,
second year.
yeah,
Just only her
right.
second year. She still got so much more to learn in the sport for you to already be a hothead.
Yeah.
Your first 3-4 years, you're still learning this, not only the sport but the tempo and everybody's likes and don't likes, and then the coaching and all that stuff. That you still learning the sport. You learn how to be able to gravitate towards everybody on the floor, to be able to control the tempo. All that still takes time. And this is only her second season, and the second season hasn't even been in that long. So for you to have that type of already attitude in the pros, you need to like chill out a little bit.
I would say so. For sure.
One thing I think is a big problem with her too. Just being that her team is so sorry and she's a superstar and they continue to lose, that set in frustration dramatically, man. When you're a superstar, everybody knows who you are. She's the face of certain to the league. I mean, her and a couple. There's only like 3 of them that's really, really, really well known, and they just like Caitlin Clark, for instance. I mean, these are the face of this WNBA.
Sure.
And Caitlin's team is winning, but her team is not. Her team, everybody's beating her team. So Reese is pissed off about it. I mean, and then even the games that she played, she leave it all on the court and they still lose. So that right there is enough for her to curse and flip the bird and everything else. And she's just not conducting herself like she should. So I think that has a degree of training too, man, because I don't know whether they go through the same type of training that the NBA has either with these players. Once they become professionals, they usually go through a orientation in the NFL and the NBA. They have an orientation. They teach you how to watch out for the leeches, the ones who's trying to take your money. Watch out for these crafty lawyers who's trying to take your money. Watch out for these friends and family who try to take your money. So I don't know whether these girls are going through the same type of procedures when it comes out to just looking out for your own personal life and conducting yourself as a professional, because you have to do it. Because once you start being seen all the time on TV, you're going to have people just trying to get into your space, trying to get into your world. And you got to be careful with those people, man. And that's one thing that I think that frustrates her. Her face is everywhere, but at the same time, she's not getting the prosperity out of it from the winning standpoint. So I think that's frustrating to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So Annie Brown has another one for us here. Annie Brown says Nikola Jokic, who plays for the Denver Nuggets center, he just declined an offer from Denver to extend his contract. I want to start with Najee. It says that Denver extended an offer to extend Jokic contract for another 3 years at an estimated of $212 million. He declined, indicating he will enter the 2025-26 NBA season with 3 years and $177 million left on his contract, including the $62.8 million player option for 27-28. You think that was a good move, Najee?
Yeah, it is, because it's actually the best time for him. So it's the best time for him because you got to think about what he got going on. He's already a player that's over 30 now. This team have kind of declined a little bit since the championship. Boom. So you mean to tell me now I have the perfect situation of out of extending to be there longer or go into free agency and see if there are better options for
the market. Yeah.
Because you see the market. It could be, or it could really just be declining. It's because when you decline it and sign for more years, you get more money. It could be that. But either way, it's still a perfect situation because now we're going to see, are we going to get better than we were at the last 2 seasons, or we're going to get worse? And we're going to get worse and you're not putting anything that's surrounding me, I can leave. Or if you are doing that, then guess what? I will buy it back in and get more money. See, it's a win-win for him. So he's actually in a great spot.
So what do you think the potential for him to earn more? You think there is a strong potential for him to
Oh yeah,
earn
you
double
can't you
that
you can't
$212
out of
million
out of
dollars?
29 other teams, you can't tell me who will not move heaven, earth, hell, all that stuff to get him on that team. You can't tell me. It's gonna be some players. There's gonna be some franchises that will move anything they can to put him on that team.
That's a good point. That is a
They will
very
move
good point.
anything.
That's a very good point. All righty. Well, let's go to Annie's next topic is going to be Fox Sports FS1 just released multiple analysts, sports analysts on their channel. One called Speak, of course, and I think Joy Taylor, Jason Taylor's sister, is still under contract,
Hmm.
but they're not going to renew her contract. And a lot of rumors are swirling, allegedly, whether this has to do with a lawsuit filed by a hairstylist against Fox Sports. Isaiah, give me your take on this as far as Fox releasing these sports analysts, and a couple of them were very famous. You had LaShawn Shady McCoy. You had Acho, Emmanuel Acho. He was a host of one of the shows, and then you had Joy, and multiple other guests and hosts as well. What do you think was Fox's intent with this?
Joy was one of the ones that got released as well, or no?
Yes, she did. But they
Well,
have
They
to
got
honor
released.
her contract,
well,
though. That's the thing about it, according to what the news sources that
well,
I've been reading.
I think this is starting to be the norm, bro. I mean, you look at what happened with one of the Tonight shows last week was Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, Stephen
They
Colbert's
opt
show
not
has been
to.
uh, canceled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they opt not to canceled his show. And you talking about the number one show on night TV, and they canceling his show. So this stuff is starting to be the norm.
We're waiting on Isaiah to rejoin us. So we'll pick up where we left off, Najee. Can you chime in on Joy Taylor's firing from FS1?
Well, yeah, man. Because I mean, just look at all the negativity that Joy's getting. Like you see what they did with Shannon Sharp. Shannon
Mm-hmm.
Sharp had
All right, welcome back, gentlemen. We're still having internet issues here, but we'll proceed on. Isaiah, you want to finish off your point,
Yeah, what I was
your
saying
thought?
is it's starting to be the norm where it doesn't matter whether you have the number one show or not. You know, if you got an issue within that network, they just canning people, man. They just clipping you off. So it has absolutely to do with whether you're talented or not, the viewership, none of that stuff, man. If you cross somebody within the network, you out of here, man. That's what I see happening.
Mm-hmm.
If there's some type of allegation or some higher up saying that, oh, I don't like this guy being on TV, they going behind the scenes and getting these freaking people clipped. So it's just a sad situation where it's become that way, where all it takes for some old wacky politician don't like you or somebody else don't like to see you on the network, and the next thing you know, you don't have a job because I'm starting to see too much of that stuff, and it done gained strength and got normal for a person to don't like you or some bogus lawsuit and got held, or put out, and the next thing you know, you see the person getting fired for some stupid freaking punk that don't have anything to do with the network get you fired. So, I mean, it's sad now. Everything has become anger and people who dislike you, and the next thing you know, they trying to get you to go away and take your job away from you. And it's sad that people are buying into this foolishness. Yeah.
She's been a very effective sports analyst and moderator on several shows, Fox, and then, there were several other channels as well. I think she's very talented. I do think she's talented. And, with this situation, maybe this will make her open her eyes that she might have to move on and do something on her own. That's the way I look at it, because a lot of these organizations, especially news media organizations, it's a fly by night thing with them. Just like you said, that they'll can you in a heartbeat. They don't care about the money. The money doesn't bother them. They'll pay you the remainder of your contract just to get rid of you.
The one thing I can
And get away
clearly
from,
say
and get away from.
Exactly.
In defense of the ones that I've seen to get fired so far has actually become better at their craft, and they're in a better position. I've seen several people getting fired in the last couple of years, and every last one of those people who got fired started something of their own, even as much as doing a podcast like ours, and it became successful. And they say, wow, I should have done this 5 years ago, because they got the freedom to do and say what they pretty much want. But when you're working on a network like that, you kind of got to channel down things that you say.
Almost no restriction.
And, there's no restrictions when you're doing it on your own, man. And even our show here, we try to minimize profanity and saying things because we really want this show to be something where people can admire and look up to and have the kids watch as well. So I try to refrain from saying the stuff I want, because I be want to go off, bro. To be honest with you, I be want to go off when I see something going on, especially when you're doing somebody wrong or doing something immoral. I don't like it at all. But then I do believe that I want to the show to be entertainment. This is what I want. I want the show to be entertaining to people, and that anybody can watch it. So I try to restrain from using foul language and all that stuff like that. But sometimes it takes me right over to the edge, man. But I'm just trying to gather myself when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
So that's what it is.
There's nothing wrong with that, because we all have emotions, and we all have, ways that we think about things in terms of our perspective. Everybody's perspective is a little bit different. But I have to totally coattail on what you said about when you mistreating people. Look, I mean, nobody should be in the business of mistreating someone just because they might not like the way they look, or they might not like something that they said. That is not fair to mistreat someone like that. So I just wanted to get that out there as well, And those other sports analysts like Acho and McCoy and all those guys, they probably move on to something else. The grass may be greener on the other side. Sometimes things happen for a reason. I do believe in fate. I believe that fate happens for certain people, for certain things, where fate, you may think it's the end of the world because of something that happened to you, and it's the best thing ever in the world to happen to you. If that makes sense.
That could have possibly happened for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've known people to get canned from one job, and within a year or two, they're in a much better situation, and they in a much better financial situation. They're in a much better workplace situation sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And then you wonder, look, if I would have never got fired, I'd still be in misery. I'd still be in the same spot that I was in. So sometimes good things
That was,
happen for a reason. I would say Joy has enough talent to even start her on podcast, kind of like what
yeah,
Don Lemon did. And
yeah,
she can
that
parlay
happened.
her podcast, get a couple of million followers and subscribers, and be off to the races. She's her own boss. She ain't got to put up with no whole bunch of garbage from a network executive. Somebody coming into a room and they take the first look at you and they don't
But
like you
she's
because of the way you look. You know, that type
Yeah,
of thing.
but she's
yeah.
gonna have to have the right person with her though, because any
It ain't
sports
no
talk we
area.
listen to, it don't really be it don't really be females on there. She's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be able to have enough like loyal people that's going to run into it. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have somebody that's also with her, that will bring not only their people with them, but now they're look forward more to, you know, what the guy got to say than the female. Like we don't like honestly, when you talk about majority of people that like listen to sports, they're not going to really listen to the woman only for so long
Mm-hmm.
because they want to hear the male perspective that's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of females that are very well
Well,
versed
she
and
is the
very
male
experienced in
part.
sports as well. It's
Well,
just that we live in a type of
I
system
think
and
that's
society
not a
that
whole truth.
it's a male dominated industry, if you may say, right?
Well, it is, but if
Exactly.
you got
Exactly.
swag, I mean, she's got enough talent to bring in the right guests and all that, her show will be okay. I mean, it's just a matter, and she's been out there for a long, long time, and she knows her craft. She knows football, man, by the back of her hand. So I think that she'll be okay. All she got to do is surround herself with good, talented people, and her show will be successful. It has nothing to do with whether she's a woman now. I think women has grown dramatically in the reporting field and sports analysts and stuff like that. They making high marks, man, because you see them walking up and down the sideline doing football games, and they're covering games to the T, and they know it play by play, and they remember the players, and they're good at it. So
Absolutely.
especially when you're beautiful too, that's just an extra added plus when you having women doing it, and that's why they're there. It ain't just having them on a beer commercial anymore. These women actually know their craft. So if she just surround herself with good, talented people in the background, her show will be okay. I think she'll do all right.
I think
Yep.
she will too, and she's very talented. Just like there's a bunch of other female analysts, sports analysts, is talented,
Hmm.
and this is only the beginning for this type of industry to start transitioning over, where females are going to take that torch, and they've already taken it to a certain extent, and they're going to run with
Yep.
it, and that's just how it works. You can't you can't stifle progress but for so long when progress is
Yeah.
determined to move ahead, right? That's with anything
Yep.
in society as a collective. And I wish Joy Taylor all the well wishes in the world, because I've never had anything bad to say about her, or I've always been, watching her with respect. I mean, her brother is one of the most upstanding guys you would ever want to meet. I've never met Jason Taylor, but I met his brother-in-law and Zach Thomas, and Zach Thomas spoke volumes about Jason Taylor. And Jason Taylor and Joy Taylor comes from a good family, so
Yeah.
you can see it.
They could. Hmm.
You could see it. You really can see it.
Yeah.
One last thing that Annie Brown has for us is, do you think, Isaiah, that Tyreek Hill is going to have a breakout year this year with over 1,000 yards in receiving?
Man, if he don't, it's going to be. If he does not have at least 1,000 yards, it's going to be a bad season for us, the Dolphins. He's the number one guy. And I think he's going to be. I mean, they need to feed him every ball they possibly can. He's got, a good backup quarterback coming in right now, and they should be trunking the ball down there to him because his mouth has been going 300 miles an hour for balls, for everything. And he was pissed because we didn't make to the playoff last year. The off season was miserable, but he should be in top shape because he's been, working out throughout the whole summer. I mean, doing all kind of stuff. He's been running track. He's been competing with other former players. He's been on top of his game in terms of staying in shape. So I know that, our coordinators better be ready to throw him the ball because that's the only way you're going to shut him up. He feels like he didn't get enough balls last year, and he really was, upset because we didn't make it to the playoff. But if they can throw him the ball, because he's going to be open because he's running great routes and he's pretty fast. So I don't see why he can't get 1,000 yards. With 16, 17, 18 games, if you can't get 1,000 yards, that's not a successful season as a top receiver like that.
Absolutely, especially in the NFL. If you're not cracking 1,000 yards, especially the caliber of player that Tyreek Hill is, which is top caliber, I mean, it would be a travesty, actually. So hopefully Tua will stay healthy enough to be able to throw him the ball, to get them balls to him, because that's the ultimate and that's what matters, at the end of the day.
In all actuality, DC, he should have 1,000 yards at midpoint of the season. That's what I think. That's only getting freaking
Exactly. That's what the first thing I was thinking. The only thing you need is like 105, 110 yards per game.
Yeah, 120. You got
That's it.
Yep.
Absolutely. So I want to readdress a show that we had a couple of days ago, and it was about the Dolphins defense. And we were just talking about how the Dolphins defense has regressed to a certain level because they had a pretty good defense last year. I'm not going to say that they had a horrible defense, but one thing I want to put into context is for what we were talking about on this show, and it looks as though like at Chris Roan -17-0 said, why are you talking about players that left 2 years ago, which is in regards to Christian Wilkins and Andrew Van Ginkel, excuse me. They were the number 4 defense last year without those guys. So in perfect context of that, there is some validity to that. However, we're talking about players that are impact players that was able to leave that team even 2 years ago. That's why we're mentioning it. We're talking about impact players like Christian Wilkins and Van Ginkel to be on that defense and to be able to make waves on that defense year in and year out. Now, let me just add another thing too before I turn it over to Isaiah for his take on it. The Dolphins defense was 4 according to ESPN, because I did research that. However, New England has not been the same team in 10 years. The New York Jets has been in the basement forever. Who's to say that if those two teams would have been competing at a higher level, that the Dolphins would even have that defense where they are ranked this high? And they finished 8 and 9. So you chime in on it, Isaiah, and you tell me what you think about these two players who left 2 years ago and what was their impact on the defense just last year, what could have been.
Well, I want to tell him that we talk about enormous things on the show. We've given you good content. It's not just predicated on just players who left a couple years ago. Last week, we had a list of the top running backs in all time. The week before that, we were talking about receivers, and we're going to get down to the ends and everything like that. So just continue to watch us, man. We're doing this not just for you. We're doing it for everybody. And if you have an issue with something, just put it out there like you've done before, and we'll address it and tell you why we're doing it. This is a clear entertainment process, what we're doing for our viewers. So it's not just going to start with just 2 players that left the Dolphins. So we're showing that, the players was impact players, and then they moved on, and we were trying to see how big of an impact that he was on the next team that he went to. So and we see what impact it was. The guy don't even have a job anymore. So That's what we were saying, man. The guy done got cut because he wouldn't do his rehab or whatever the case may be. So um, to get to this guy's point, all you gotta do is keep watching. Just tell your friends, your family, and everything. Let them be the judge of our content because we're really doing a great job of covering the weekly topics, things of our liking, and things that you may have liked. So only thing we're doing is making sure the viewers, other than you, want us to talk about last year teams. We're talking about teams that made it to the Super Bowl and how many times they went to the Super Bowl. So just continue to watch us. Everything is falling right into place.
Well stated. How about you, Najee?
It's the same thing. I mean, everybody have their own opinions and thoughts, and that's what makes everything beautiful when it comes to everybody that have their own mindset. You get different points of views, everything. So everything is just, it's all love, man. It's nothing to take to the heart or get mad or anything. It's like, bro, it's good. We understand that you're gonna have different people that's gonna have their own different, point of views, ideas, and just be they own their own person. Nobody, I mean, it's us three. We connect perfectly, right? We
Mm-hmm.
don't agree to everything that we say, and we known each other for years. So
That's
it's just,
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
That is so well stated. So that wraps up the show for us, and we're so happy for the people who rock with us tonight because that's what we want you to do is rock with us, be here with us, and take in this good content because we bringing it to you from the rawest perspective that we have on a daily basis. And we want you to subscribe and keep following us and make sure you're hitting them like buttons and those thumbs ups and the whole 9 yards with that. We had some early internet issues that internet was dropping, and I'm gonna look into that. So I want to make sure that we have a smooth show throughout. So we're gonna be correcting that at some point. But beyond that, I will have Isaiah close the show out, and we'll go from there.
Hey man, what a beautiful weekend I had. I enjoyed it and took in some of this brutal sun. But more importantly, I'm seeing a massive amount of fires and mishap and floods around the country. We gotta mend together. I see portions of the world where kids are starving and it's not like it used to be 20, 30 years ago where we would help out. I see so much of this where we're just turning our back on the needy. Man, people are starving. You see babies who's starving. Man, why? Why in the world we would let something like that happen, man, in a nation of ours where we're protecting the nation, but we're looking at other people suffer. We shouldn't be doing that, man. We need to mend fences with other countries that we have our differences from and the needy countries that's not doing too well. We need to band together and lift these folks up. That's why people are flooding into this country. When you think, oh, wow, we got so many people coming across the border. Yeah, because they're having problems in their nation and they're looking to eat. They want to feed themselves. So if we help them out, they won't come over here like that. So I'm looking to see how many people gonna step up to the plate and start helping these folks out, man? And it's challenging, I know, but we've been doing it before. We did it for hundreds of years, help our other countries, and we got neighboring countries that's doing terrible, and we're just sitting back watching, and everybody's chasing a bag, chasing money, and not looking out for the small people. We need to start doing that. So, other than that, you guys, listen, have a pleasant week. Love on each other and don't be afraid to tell people that you love them when you be in their presence because they may not be around,
That's right.
that much longer. So I've seen just today a freaking tire came off of an airplane when it was in the process of going into flight. So that stuff right here, we got to start looking out for each other, caring for each other, doing your job because somebody failed on this thing for a tire to come off an airplane. So listen, you guys, tell your friends, your family, your relatives that we're on. We enjoying what we're doing. We love bringing you this great content. So Be blessed. We'll be talking to you soon. Enjoy your night.
Absolutely. Well stated. Najee, can you close us out?
All right. Every day, what I say every time: peace and blessings. Love God, because He's definitely gonna love you. I keep telling everybody every time, what love your family, love your friends. And what I did, I spent time with people that I love, and I spend time every day, whether it's out of work or in work. So, like, bro, just bring peace and love, man. Because just like what we had last week. Last week we had, I know it's celebrities, you don't never see them, but guess what? Somebody, they had families too. 3, 4 celebrities died each day.
Mm.
Each day last week. It was crazy. Monday through Friday was somebody dying the whole week. I'm like, bro, like really? And I'm talking about from not too old to old. Everybody was just gone.
Yeah.
You had Ozzy, you had Hulk Hogan, and you had Michael Warner, and
Yep.
then you had a couple of
Yep.
more others that
Chuck,
was like in their
Linda.
70s, like a musician or somebody. I never heard of them, but I'm like, bro, they were just lining up. So
Yeah.
yeah, just try to live your life is the best way you can. Love each other, love your neighbor, love your enemy, love your family. Because guess what? When your chapter's closed, it's done. There's nothing else going to change from there.
Yep. That's so well stated. When your time comes, it's gonna come a day, and everybody's time is coming. And when it does, you're gonna leave this earth just like the rest of everybody else. And that's what's so important about telling people you love them that are close to you, cherishing the moments when you're with someone that you care and love, and cherish the moments with your friends, family, and the like, because it's so important that we all love on one another. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what your culture is. One thing I've learned over the last few years, I've met a lot of different people, and people are all the same in a lot of ways. We have a lot more in common with a lot of people than you don't think we have in common with. Well, we do. So I wanted to make sure I shared that. Stay real, stay locked into our show, because we want to make sure that you are, getting the notifications. And when we put new content out, we'll be right there in your queue for those notifications. So hit that like button again, subscribe, and we'll do this thing again soon. Thank you for joining the DC Stewart Show podcast, along with my two kin folks, Isaah and Najee. We'll see you soon. Take care of yourself before you take care of others. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take care.